What did he say? When he knew that a collector has taken all the decisions, leaving nothing to him, he was whispering in the ears of my sub-collector, if you have a dog, should you bark? If you have a dog, should you bark? This is what government does all the time. Even though there are more competent persons around, even though there is a lot of talent around in the private sector, government, instead of encouraging this private talent, instead of tapping the potentials of the country as a whole, government has a tendency to amass all the power to itself, leaving very little to the others to perform. Government's concept has changed. As a concept of government has changed over the years, so has the contours of the bureaucracy, the steel frame of administration. As all of you know, government initially was a policeman, maintaining law and order. Then government became a tax collector, because money was required to run the government. The two models that are before us, the DM model, the district magistrate model, and the district collector model, reflects this changing approach of government. Government's job was to maintain law and order in society. Then government became a tax collector. Then government became a philanthropist. Government entered the social sector, the welfare society. Then government became a partisan state. In Kerala, government even finds it its duty to provide good quality whiskey to the people. They started the Beverages Corporation. There is practically no area of human life which government has not thought it fit to enter into. But unfortunately, government has not been able to find the acceptance of the people in the areas which it has amassed to itself. Therefore, there is a feeling that government's business is government, not business. Government's business is government, not business. What we see around us is from the government offices, not action but an alibi for inaction. A friend of mine once told me, a senior government secretary who was going to visit the villages, he had taken a chartered accountant friend also with him. So they were driving through the villages. It was night. The car broke down. The car was driven by the chartered accountant friend. So he told the government secretary, I will somehow spend the night in the car. You better find some better accommodation for you. And they found that in the remote village, there was only one reasonably good building. So the secretary went and knocked on the door. He said, our car has broken down. Will you allow me to spend the night in this house today? And the lady of the house, very dignified person, she said, it's okay, I understand you, but I have a problem. What is that? You know, I am alone in this house. So the officer said, don't worry, I understand that. You know, I am a government secretary, I have a sense of propriety, don't worry. She said, okay, but you know, there is only one bedroom in this house. He said, I understand you, but you know, I am a government secretary, I have a sense of propriety. So he was allowed, admitted, and he really behaved himself well. And next day morning, the lady thought, okay, in any case, he has come to my farmhouse, let me show him around. So this government secretary was shown around, and he was taken to the poultry farm. And she said, you know, I have got 10 hens and 10 roosters. The government secretary said, why do you need 10 roosters for 10 hens? Only one rooster is required. And she answered, actually there is only one rooster. The other 9 are government secretaries. When it comes to action, what people expect is action, not an alibi for inaction. So if there is a growing feeling among people that government has to confine itself to governance and leave business to those who know it, I think this has been born out of the experience which they have over the years. It is certainly True that government should have transparency. Now, if the government has been saved of the ignominy of the Satyam scandal, it's mainly because of the chartered accountants here who are able to search out truth and establish truth. I was listening to Mr. Manoharan when I came in here. Chartered accountant, I was telling to Mr. Balakrishnan when we were sitting together, that one institution, one community, which has increased its stature and acceptance in society after independence, are the chartered accountants. Bureaucracy has lost its ground. Politicians, the lesser said of it, the better. Perhaps you can have one more institution which comes close to you. That is Indian judiciary. But now we have started hearing so many things about them also. I was told by a friend of mine, who is of course a chartered accountant. When he said that a chartered accountant, I was listening attentively to Mr. Manoharan. A chartered accountant never goes into the right or wrong of anything, you know. He is not there to pass judgments. He is to show you the way. He knows the way, he goes the way, he shows the way. I think that is what is done by a chartered accountant, what is expected of them. They are seekers of truth. They are votaries of transparency. They are facilitators of truth. Once, not to be put down by this claim, one of my friends in the police service, he said, we are also seekers of truth. In fact, we are better seekers of truth than the chartered accountants. I was reminded of something which another friend told me. He invited, this police officer invited a chartered accountant to his headquarters. This officer was heading the intelligence bureau. He had a red phone in his room. The chartered accountant asked him, what is this phone separately kept? He said, this is the phone with which I have a hotline to the temple of truth. So the chartered accountant was very surprised, a hotline to the temple of truth. He said, shall I use it? Of course you can use it. The chartered accountant took the phone and talked to the temple of truth for 5 minutes. Once he put down the phone, the IB chief asked him, pay the telephone bill. Being a disciplined chartered accountant, he knows that this has to be accounted for. He said, okay, I will certainly, services which I have used, I will pay for it. And he was told, the bill is 10 lakh rupees, telephone bill. He said, for 5 minutes of talk, 10 lakh rupees the telephone bill. He said, what can I do? This is a long distance call. This is to the temple of truth. Okay, he paid. He had it in his mind. He invited the police officer to his chartered accountant's office later. There also he saw a red phone. The officer asked, what is this? It's to the hotline to the temple of truth. Can I use it? Okay, you can use it. So the police officer also talked to the temple of truth and asked him, what is the bill? The chartered accountant said, 10 rupees. You mean 10 rupees for a long distance call to the temple of truth? And the chartered accountant said, but here in my office, the temple of truth is only a local call distance away. So truth has definitions which differ with you, the professionals, and with us. Truth is relative. Truth is not absolute. Transparency in government is not accepted by the public because it is relative. It is not absolute. I studied in a convent school. Babu knows it. There, we had what is called aspirants. Aspirants are the youngsters who study for priesthood. After some time, they will become priest. So the aspirants normally sit in the same class as we laymen. There were two aspirants. Both of them want to smoke. They know that the Father Superior does not appreciate smoking. So one of them went and asked the Father Superior, "Shall I smoke when I pray?" The father became wild. He said, "This is blasphemy. You are speaking against God. How can you smoke when you pray?" The other person, he went and asked, "Father, shall I pray when I smoke?" Father was very pleased. He said, "You are the true Son of God." So it is perception.